My name's Ryan, and I've been married to Jessica for 12 years. We've got 3 kids, Noah, Olivia, and little Isabella, and up until recently I thought we had a solid thing going. Sure, we had our rough patches like any couple, but nothing I couldn't handle. That all changed one night last spring when Jessica dropped a bomb on me that flipped our whole world upside down. It wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it, like it was no big deal, like she hadn't just lit a match to our marriage. We were sitting on the couch after dinner. The kids were upstairs, probably arguing over whose turn it was on the tablet, and I was half watching some rerun on TV. Jessica was next to me, scrolling through her phone, when she suddenly put it down and turned to me. "Hey, Ryan," she said, her voice way too casual for what was coming next. "I've been thinking about doing something big for Ashley. Ashley's her twin sister, married to this guy named Michael. They've been trying to have a kid for years, and it's been tough on them. I get that, but what Jessica said next, I wasn't ready for it. "Yeah," I said, barely looking up from the screen. "What kind of big thing?" She paused, then hit me with it. "I'm going to be her surrogate." I froze. For a second, I thought she was messing with me. I even let out a little laugh, waiting for her to crack a smile and say she was kidding. But she didn't. She just sat there, looking at me like she expected me to jump up and cheer. "Wait, what?" I said, sitting up straight. "You mean, like, carry their baby?" She nodded, all calm and collected. "Yeah. Ashley and Michael have been struggling for so long. And since we're twins, it's basically like her having her own kid." My head started spinning. I could feel this sinking feeling in my gut, like the floor was dropping out from under me. "Jessica, are you serious?" I asked. "When did this even come up?" She shrugged, like it was nothing. "A few weeks ago. We've been talking about it for a while. Weeks. And here I was, her husband, hearing about it for the first time like it was some afterthought." "And you didn't think to tell me?" I said, my voice getting louder. She sighed, setting her phone down. "Ryan, this isn't about you. It's my body, my choice. I don't need your permission." Permission. That word hit me like a slap. "Jessica, we're married," I said, trying to keep my cool. "This isn't just about you. This is huge. It affects both of us, our kids, our whole life. How could you not talk to me first?" She rolled her eyes, which only made it worse. "I'm telling you now," she said, like that fixed everything. "Oh, great," I shot back. "After you've already decided. That's not how this works." Her face hardened. "Look, I knew you'd freak out like this. That's why I waited. But it's happening, whether you're on board or not." I just stared at her, trying to wrap my head around it. It wasn't even the surrogacy itself that got me, though yeah, that was a lot. It was the fact that she'd been planning this with Ashley and Michael behind my back for weeks, maybe longer, and didn't think I deserved to say. "If you do this," I said, my voice low, "we're done." She scoffed, crossing her arms. "You're being ridiculous." "No," I said, standing up. "You're making a life-changing call without me. That's the problem." She shook her head, muttering something about me not understanding, but I was already done talking. A few months later, she was pregnant. She told me one evening, all casual again, like she was mentioning the weather. "It worked," she said, rubbing her belly with this little smile. I just nodded. "Okay," I said, then walked out of the room. 2 days later, I filed for divorce. I'd had the papers ready since she first brought it up. I'd warned her, after all. She acted shocked, like she didn't see it coming, which blew my mind. Did she really think I'd just roll over and play happy family while she carried another man's kid? I told her exactly where I stood, and she went ahead anyway. Where we live, you've got to be separated for a full year before the divorce can go through. There's some kind of cooling-off period, but it just felt like dragging out the inevitable. Jessica was supposed to move out, find her own place nearby so we could split custody of the kids 50-50. But she didn't. She stayed in the house, claiming it was easier for the kids, and, let's be real, for her. Meanwhile, she started leaning on me like nothing had changed. "Ryan, can you grab me some water?" She'd call from the couch, her voice all entitled. "Nope," I'd say, not even looking up. "Not my job." She didn't like that. She'd huff and puff, but I wasn't budging. This wasn't my mess to clean up. Her family got involved too, Ashley, Michael, even her mom, Linda. They'd call me, leave voicemails, saying I was abandoning her, that she needed me now more than ever. Ashley pulled the sister card hard. Ryan, she's doing this for me. Don't you see how beautiful that is? I just laugh bitter. Yeah, I see it. I see you all cooked this up without me. That's not a marriage, that's a decision she made. She can deal with it. Things got worse as her pregnancy went on. She'd waddle around the house, dropping hints about how tired she was, how much she had to handle. One night, she came into the kitchen while I was making dinner for the kids. Can you pick up some ice cream on your way home tomorrow? She asked, like we were still a team. I didn't even turn around. Ask Ashley, I said, chopping carrots. Or Michael. They wanted this baby. She got quiet, then stormed off. I could tell she was starting to realize I wasn't playing along. But she didn't let up. Not yet. So, Jessica was pregnant with Michael's kid, and I'd already filed for divorce. But because of that stupid year-long separation rule, we were stuck under the same roof. I kept my distance as much as I could. Focused on Noah, Olivia, and Isabella, kept the house running, paid the bills, but Jessica didn't make it easy. She acted like I was still supposed to be her husband, like the papers I'd filed were just some empty threat. She'd waltz around the house, dropping hints about how tough things were, expecting me to cave. I didn't. One night, maybe 4 months into it, I was in the living room watching TV after the kids were in bed. Jessica came in, plopped down on the couch, and let out this big, dramatic sigh. I ignored it at first. She'd been doing that a lot lately, fishing for attention. But then she spoke up. Ryan, can you run to the store for me? She asked, her voice all sweet, like she was trying to butter me up. I didn't even glance her way. For what? I said, eyes on the screen. Just some pickles and ice cream. I've been craving them all day. I let out a dry laugh, shaking my head. Yeah, that's not my job anymore, I said. She huffed, crossing her arms. Come on, Ryan. It's just a quick trip. I finally turned to her, my face dead serious. Jessica, I'm not your husband anymore. Not in any way that counts. Ask Ashley or Michael to do it. Her jaw tightened, and for a second, I thought she'd argue, but she just got up and stomped off. That was the pattern. She'd ask, I'd say no, and she'd storm away, mad that I wouldn't play along. It wasn't just the little stuff, though. As the months went on, she started leaning harder. She'd complain about how tired she was, how her back hurt, how she couldn't keep up with everything. One evening, I was working on my laptop, trying to sort out some bills, when she came in, rubbing her belly and looking at me like I owed her something. I don't know how I'm going to do this without you, she said, her voice all pitiful. I didn't even look up. Call Ashley, I said. Call Michael. She sighed, louder this time. It's not fair I have to do this alone. That got me. I closed my laptop and met her eyes. Fair, I said, my tone sharp. You want to talk about fair? Because I don't think it was fair you made this call without me. But here we are. She didn't have a comeback for that. Just pursed her lips and walked away. I kept telling her the same thing. Ashley and Michael wanted this baby. They promised her this perfect surrogacy journey. So let them step up. But they didn't. Not really. Michael, especially, was useless. I'd see him show up for the big stuff, doctor's appointments, dropping off some baby junk, but day to day, nowhere to be found. One night, I couldn't help myself. I asked Jessica about it. Where's Michael been lately? I said, casual but curious. Thought he was all in on this. She shifted, looking uncomfortable. He's been taking care of Ashley. She's still messed up from that car wreck last year. Fair point, I guess, but come on. He knew this was coming, I said. Shouldn't he have a plan? Her face tightened. He's doing his best. He's stressed. I scoffed. Yeah, and you're not? She didn't answer, but I could see it. She knew he was dropping the ball, but she wouldn't admit it. Instead, she kept turning to me, like I was supposed to pick up the slack. She'd ask me to carry groceries, set up a crib, even rub her back when she was sore. Every time I shut her down. Nope, I'd say. Not my kid, not my problem. She hated it, but I wasn't budging. This wasn't about being petty, it was about drawing a line. She crossed mine, and I wasn't crossing back. Things hit a boiling point one night, maybe 7 months in. I was reading in bed when she knocked on my door. Yeah, we'd been sleeping in separate rooms since I filed. "Ryan, please," she said, her voice shaky. "Can you help me? I can't sleep, and I'm so sore." I didn't even get up. "Not my kid, not my problem," I said through the door. She let out this frustrated groan. "For crying out loud. Ryan, I'm begging you." I stayed quiet, and after a long pause, I heard her shuffle off. The next day, she was slamming cabinets, muttering about what a jerk I was. I just kept my head down and focused on the kids. Her family didn't let up either. Linda called me one afternoon, her voice dripping with disappointment. "Ryan, I can't believe you're treating her like this," she said. "She's still your wife." I cut her off. "No, she's not," I said, calm but firm. "She stopped being my wife when she decided to have another man's baby. If you're so worried, help her yourself." She hung up without another word. Ashley tried too, leaving me a voicemail. "Ryan, she needs you. This is so hard on her." I deleted it. They could guilt-trip me all they wanted. I wasn't biting. The kids started noticing the tension. Noah asked me one night, "Why's Mom so mad all the time?" I kept it simple. "Mom and I are working through some stuff," I said. "But we both love you guys." He nodded, but I could tell he didn't buy it completely. Olivia and Isabella picked up on it too. Little questions here and there about why things felt off. I hated that they were caught in this, but I couldn't fix what Jessica broke. All I could do was keep things steady for them, and that's what I did. By the time Jessica was close to giving birth, she was a mess, physically and emotionally. She'd try these big, dramatic scenes to get my attention, like sitting on the couch, rubbing her belly, and sighing loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I'd just walk past. One night, she finally snapped. "You're still my husband," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "You could at least act like you care." I stood up, done with it. "No, Jessica. I stopped being your husband when you did this behind my back. Don't come crying to me now because it's harder than you thought." She started sobbing, but I was past caring. I went to bed and left her there. That was when I knew she'd have to figure it out on her own, or with Ashley and Michael. I wasn't her safety net anymore, and as much as she tried to pull me back in, I was already checked out. The baby wasn't here yet, but the fallout was already piling up, and I wasn't about to let it bury me. The day Jessica gave birth, I didn't go to the hospital. I told her months ago I wouldn't be involved, so it's not like she could claim surprise. Still, she called me from there, her voice all shaky and teary over the phone. "Ryan, please," she sobbed. "I don't want to do this alone. I'm scared." I kept my tone flat, unyielding. "You made this choice on your own, Jessica. Michael put that baby in you. Call him." She let out a ragged breath. I did. "He's not answering." I didn't miss a beat. "Then call Ashley. Call Linda. This is their problem, not mine." She whispered, "You're being cruel," her voice thick with tears. I sighed, tired of the same old song. "No, Jessica. I'm sticking to what I said. You knew where I stood." She didn't say anything else. The line just went dead. I set my phone down and went back to making dinner for Noah, Olivia, and Isabella. The kids didn't ask where she was that day. I think they'd gotten used to the weirdness by then. I kept things normal for them, and that's all that mattered to me. A few days later, Jessica came home with the baby. I figured she'd hand it off to Ashley and Michael right away. But nope. She brought it into the house like it was moving in. Suddenly, there were bottles on the counter, diapers on the couch, a whole mess of baby stuff everywhere. It felt like she was trying to force me into dealing with it, like if it was in my face enough, I'd have to care. I didn't. I'd step over the clutter, ignore the cries at night, and go about my day. She hated that. One night, maybe a week after she got back, the baby was screaming its head off. I was in bed, trying to sleep, when she knocked on my door. "Ryan, please," she said, sounding exhausted. "Just this once. Can you help? I haven't slept in days. I didn't move. Not my kid, not my problem, I said through the door. She let out this angry huff. It's 3 in the morning, Ryan. Have a heart. I stayed quiet, and after a long silence, she stomped off. The next day, she was slamming drawers, muttering about how awful I was. I let her vent. Didn't change a thing. It wasn't just about being stubborn. Yeah, I was dug in, but it was bigger than that. If I helped even once, she'd take it as a green light to keep leaning on me. I'd seen it before. Give her an inch and she'd take a mile. So I held the line, no matter how loud the baby cried or how tired she looked. The kids started asking questions, though. Isabella came up to me one morning, big eyes all curious. "Why's there a baby here, Daddy?" she asked. I crouched down, keeping it simple. "Mom's helping Aunt Ashley with something special," I said. "But it's not staying with us." She nodded, but I could tell she was confused. Things got worse when Jessica flat out demanded I step up. One evening, I was on my laptop, sorting work stuff, when she marched in with the baby in her arms. "You can't keep pretending this isn't happening," she snapped. "I'm doing everything alone, and it's not fair." I barely looked up. "Call Michael," I said. She glared. I did. "He's busy with Ashley again." I shrugged. "Not my baby, not my problem." Her eyes flashed. "You're so selfish, Ryan. You owe me this much." That lit a fuse. I set my laptop aside and stood up, meeting her stare. "I don't owe you a thing," I said, my voice hard. "You disrespected me by doing this behind my back. I told you what would happen, and you did it anyway. You said it's your body, your choice, fine. Now it's my life, my choice. This is on you." She froze, then her face twisted. "You're a monster," she spat. "You'll regret this." She stormed off, and I thought that was it. But an hour later, she was back, a bag over her shoulder, baby bundled up. "I can't do this with you acting like this," she said, her voice shaking. I just nodded. She waited, like she thought I'd stop her. I didn't. 2 days later, she was gone. Moved out to Linda's place with the baby. For a minute, I thought I'd get some peace. The house was quiet. No crying, no whining, no guilt trips. Felt like I could breathe again. But then the calls started. Linda first, all heavy and disappointed. "Ryan, how could you let her leave like this?" she said. I kept it short. "She made her bed, Linda. I'm not lying in it." Then Ashley chimed in, leaving a voicemail that dripped with judgment. "I can't believe you're this heartless," she said. "Jessica just gave birth, and you kicked her out?" I laughed and deleted it. "Kicked her out? She left because I wouldn't play her game. Michael tried too, pulling the buddy card. Man, we're all family," he said over the phone. "Things are tough. Ashley's still recovering, Jessica's struggling. We need to stick together." I cut him off. "You excluded me from this from the jump," I said. "You don't get to call me family now. Step up for your own kid." He mumbled some excuse and hung up. It was like they'd planned it, hit me from all sides until I broke. But I didn't. I'd said my piece 100 times. This wasn't my mess. Jessica didn't stop either. She'd call every few days, crying about how hard it was, how overwhelmed she felt. "Ryan, I need you," she'd say. I'd just repeat the mantra, "Not my baby, not my problem." One night, she tried a new angle. "I miss us," she said, her voice soft. "I still love you. We could be a family again." I scoffed. "You threw that away, Jessica. This isn't a family. It's a mess you made." She started crying, saying she was sorry, but it was too late. "That ship sailed," I told her. "Live with it." She hung up, and I went to bed feeling nothing. No anger, no guilt, just empty. The kids kept me grounded. Noah asked once, "Is Mom coming back?" I told him, "She's staying with Grandma Linda for now, but she'll still see you guys." He nodded, but I could see the wheels turning. Olivia and Isabella didn't push as much. They just wanted their routine. So I gave it to them: school, dinners, bedtime stories. Meanwhile, Jessica was out there, drowning in her choices, and I wasn't throwing her a rope. She'd built this storm, let her weather it. Jessica was gone, living at Linda's with the baby, and for a few days I thought I'd finally get some peace. The house was quiet. No more late-night crying. No more guilt trips. Just me and the kids settling into a new normal. Noah, Olivia, and Isabella seemed to handle it okay, though they'd ask about their mom sometimes. "When's she coming back?" Isabella would say, her little voice all curious. I'd keep it light. "She's staying with Grandma Linda for now, but you'll see her soon." It wasn't a lie, and it kept them steady. That's all I cared about. But Jessica wasn't done with me. About a week after she left, the calls picked up again. Not just from her, but from the whole crew. Linda sent me this long letter, all about how I was tearing the family apart, how Jessica had sacrificed so much growing up, how I owed her support. I read it, sighed, and tossed it in the trash. Same old noise. Ashley tried her usual guilt trip, calling to say Jessica was struggling and I needed to step up. "She's your wife, Ryan," she said. I laughed. "Not anymore." Michael showed up at my door one night, looking awkward. "Can we talk?" he asked. I leaned on the frame. "Say it." He rambled about how tough things were. Ashley still recovering, Jessica overwhelmed, him juggling it all. "We need you, man," he said. I cut him off. "This is your baby, your mess. Why are you here instead of there?" He mumbled something about family and left when I told him to take responsibility or get lost. They were relentless, like they thought if they kept hammering I'd crack. I didn't. I'd drawn my line months ago, and I wasn't budging. Then Jessica started playing dirty. She called one evening, asking to come over and see the kids. I said sure. She's still their mom, and I wasn't going to keep them from her. But when she showed up, it was clear she had a plan. She spent the whole time whining about how hard things were, how the baby kept her up, how she just needed a break. The kids were there, listening, and I could see her trying to pull them into it. Then she dropped the real bomb. "Ryan," she said, all soft and pleading. "What if I moved back in? Just until I figure things out." I shut it down fast. "No," I said, my voice flat. "You made your choice. You don't get to waltz back in like nothing happened." Her eyes went wide, desperate. "It's not just about me. The kids need their mom." I didn't blink. "They have you during visits. That's enough. You don't get to live here." She got mad then, real mad. "You're keeping our family apart," she snapped. I shook my head. "No, Jessica. You did that when you picked Ashley over us." She glared at me like I was the devil, grabbed her bag, and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. The kids were shaken after that. Noah came to me later, quiet. "Why'd Mom leave again?" he asked. I sat him down. "Mom's figuring some stuff out," I said. "But I'm here and we're okay." He nodded, but I could tell it stuck with him. Olivia asked too, "Is Mom mad at us?" I hugged her. "No, sweetie. She's just mad at grown-up stuff." It killed me to see them caught in this, but I couldn't let Jessica use them to claw her way back. She'd made her bed. I wasn't letting her drag the kids into it. For a while, things calmed down. I got into a rhythm with the kids' school runs, dinners, helping with homework. It wasn't perfect, but it was stable, and that felt good. Jessica's visits were tense but manageable. She'd show up, play mom for a few hours, then leave. I kept my distance, let her do her thing. But then the divorce proceedings kicked off, and everything got messy again. Her lawyer came out swinging, saying I'd abandoned her during a tough time, that she couldn't work because of the baby, that I owed her spousal support. It was nonsense, but they were trying to paint me as the bad guy. My lawyer was ready. "The baby's not his," he told me in his office, flipping through papers. "She chose this surrogacy knowing you objected. Ashley and Michael are in the picture. She's got support. We've got this." I nodded, relieved but exhausted. Jessica's team leaned hard on the selfless mom angle, saying she'd only done it for her sister. My side laid out the truth. She'd gone behind my back, ignored my boundaries, and now wanted me to pay for it. I had proof, texts, emails, even that first conversation where I'd warned her. It was all there. The kids started picking up on the legal stuff too. One night, Olivia asked, "Why do you and Mom fight so much?" kept it vague. We're sorting out grown-up things, I said. But you don't need to worry. She frowned. Is it about the baby? I paused, then nodded. Yeah, partly. But it's not your job to fix it. Okay? She hugged me and I held her tight. Noah was quieter. He'd just watch me sometimes, like he was trying to figure out if I'd crack. I couldn't. Jessica tried one last play before the court stuff heated up. She showed up during a visit, looking worn out, and pulled me aside. I'm sorry, she said, her voice low. For everything. I messed up, Ryan. I thought I was doing the right thing. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to yell, part of me didn't care anymore. I hope it works out for you, I said, turning away. She grabbed my arm. I don't want this divorce, she said, tears welling up. I can't do it alone. I pulled free. You're not alone. You've got Ashley and Michael. You just don't want them. This is on you, she cried. But I walked off. I was done talking. The divorce wasn't over yet, but I could feel the end coming. Jessica's chaos was hers to handle. I was focused on keeping my kids safe and steady. That's all I had left to give. The divorce dragged on, a messy slog of lawyers and courtroom back and forth. Jessica's side kept pushing the same line. I'd abandoned her, left her high and dry with a baby to care for, and owed her spousal support to make it right. Her lawyer painted her as this selfless saint, sacrificing everything for her sister. It was a good story if you ignored the truth. My lawyer didn't mess around. The baby's not his, he said in court, laying out the facts. She chose this against his wishes, with Ashley and Michael's support. He's got no duty here. I had the evidence. Texts, calls, every time I told her this would end us. It was airtight. Sitting in that courtroom, I watched Jessica's attorney ramble about how hard things had been for her, how much she loved our kids, how she deserved shared custody. For a second, I wondered if the judge might buy it, sway toward the crying mom routine. But then my lawyer stood up, calm and sharp. He pointed out how I'd been the steady one, taking care of Noah, Olivia, and Isabella for months while Jessica floundered. He showed how she'd tried to drag the kids into her mess, using them as leverage. The judge listened, nodded, and when the ruling came, it was like a weight lifted off me. Full custody, mine. Jessica got visitation rights, scheduled and supervised, but I'd be the one calling the shots for our kids. It wasn't a win, nobody really wins in this stuff, but it was the best outcome I could have hoped for. Jessica sat there, staring at the table, and for a moment, I thought she'd break down. Maybe she'd convinced herself she'd get more, that the court would hand her a lifeline. But reality hit, and when she looked up at me in the hallway after, her eyes were wet. I don't want it like this, she said, voice trembling. I still want to be in their lives. That's on you, I told her, keeping it even. Show up for them, fine. But I'm not letting them get pulled into your chaos. She wiped her face, nodded, and walked off. I didn't stick around to see if she'd say more. I'd heard enough apologies and pleas to last a lifetime. The kids were my focus now, and I wasn't letting anything shake that. Back home, things settled into a new rhythm. Single parenting, no picnics, school drop-offs, dinners, helping with homework. But it felt right. The house was calm, steady, no more walking on eggshells. The kids had questions, though. Olivia came to me one night, her voice small. Is the baby mom gonna live with us ever? I took a breath, choosing my words. No, sweetie, I said. That baby's with Aunt Ashley and Uncle Michael. It's their family. She frowned. But Mom said she had it. So isn't it like our brother? I rubbed my neck, keeping it simple. Mom helped bring it into the world, but it's different from you guys. It's not coming here. She nodded, still processing, but didn't push. Noah was trickier. He'd ask, why's Mom not here anymore? I'd say, she's figuring things out, but we're good, you and me. He'd watch me, quiet, like he was testing if I'd hold it together. I did. Jessica kept trying to pull me back in, even after the ruling. She'd call when she hit a wall, money tight, baby fussing, no sleep. Ryan, I can't afford daycare, she'd sob. I need help, just a little. To cut her off. That's not my problem, Jessica. Talk to Michael. She'd snap, "You're heartless," and hang up. Linda texted too, all sanctimonious. "I thought you were a decent man, but you've turned your back on her." I fired back once. "Your daughter picked this fight, not me." Stop texting. After that, I quit responding. They'd twist anything I said, so why bother? One day, during a custody handoff, Jessica looked rough, dark circles, frayed edges. She pulled me aside. "I'm sorry, Ryan," she said, barely meeting my eyes. "I know I hurt you. I thought I was doing something good. I didn't bite. I hope you figure it out," I said, turning to go. She grabbed my sleeve. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered. "I can't do this alone." I stepped back. "You're not alone. You've got Ashley and Michael. You just want me to fix it. I'm done." She let go, tears falling, but I walked away. That was her burden, not mine. Now it's just me and the kids day by day. It's not easy, work, parenting, the occasional wise mom sad. From Isabella, but it's ours. The chaos is gone, replaced by something solid. Jessica's still out there, visitation days popping up like clockwork, but I keep it smooth for the kids. They deserve that much. One night, Noah looked at me over dinner and said, "You're not mad all the time anymore." I smiled, surprised. "Yeah, bud," I said. "Things are better now." He grinned back, and that was enough. Looking back, I don't regret it. Jessica made her call, her body, her choice, and I made mine. She thought I'd cave, that I'd carry her through it. She was wrong. I gave her every warning, every chance to rethink. But she rolled the dice anyway. Now she's living with the fallout, and I'm building something new. The kids are happy, I'm free, and for the first time in years, I'm not cleaning up someone else's mess. That's worth every fight, every slammed door, every tear. We're okay, me, Noah, Olivia, Isabella. That's my win. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a comment and hit the like button. Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear your perspective.